when the tones drop. All around the United States, everyday people put their lives on the line and leave their homes, their families, and their jobs to provide a service for their communities. The volunteer and call fire service is in trouble. Membership is shrinking. This podcast is hosted by me, Nick Hilton, and my good friend, Paul Ballantyne. We were exposed to the fire service from the days we were born. We grew up together watching our fathers dedicate thousands of hours to the fire service. Today, we each serve as volunteer fire officers on a successful combination department in southern Maine. Our goal is to provide solutions to common problems in volunteer, call, and combination fire departments all across the country.
Brotherhood Academy with Nick and Paul. Brotherhood Academy. Enjoy the show. Brotherhood Academy Radio. They've been friends since they were in diapers, so they have the same heart to be volunteer firefighters. Brotherhood Academy. Fighting for a dying breed. Brotherhood Academy. Brotherhood Academy. Brotherhood Academy Radio.
Turn Paul's mic down just a little bit because he's jumping up. Not your fault. It's just the mics.
Oh, I'm loud.
Well, you got a stronger.
Loud.
You have a stronger voice than I do, anyway.
People don't approve.
They're appalled.
Oh, I get it. God, that was
But
that was
seriously,
funny.
folks.
All right, well, welcome to the show, Red. This is
Thank
Red.
you.
You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi.
Hi.
My name is David McElroy, and I got my fire service start back in 1983.
That's when I was born.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yep.
Just
Thanks
saying.
a lot.
Just saying.
And I got it started here in York with the York Village Fire Department. And my career has gone from being a volunteer here in York to being a career firefighter to being in another call department, paid call, where our apparatus is actually the right color. So
I don't know about that.
our apparatus are emerald green metallic.
Let me just say, though, that is my favorite
So-
color. I do love forest green and emerald green,
Yeah.
but on a fire truck, yeah.
That white roof and that emerald green looks good.
Okay.
But so I am currently a captain with the Barnstead Fire Department.
Newly promoted.
Barnstead, newly promoted.
Newly promoted.
Yes.
There.
And you just told me that story, too, which is a really cool story.
Yeah.
How that all
We'll
happened.
kind of touch on
Sure.
how that happens. I think that's going to kind of factor into this here.
Mm.
And I've stayed in touch with my roots here in York. It's nice to see a department that gets it.
Well, thank you.
And it's not so much, it's everything. It's from the chief officers all the way down to the brand new person that walked in the door that night to say, I want to volunteer.
Mhm.
I think you kind of have to put expectations on people.
Yep.
You know, this is the way that we expect you to act. We expect you to be invested. We expect you to show up. We expect
Right.
you to train, that type of thing. And along with that comes accountability
Mm-hmm.
and holding people accountable. And a lot of departments kind of falter away from that because they're afraid that if they're hold people accountable, they're gonna will not show up anymore.
Right. Well, it is a true fear,
Yeah.
though.
It is.
You know what I mean? You
It
want
is.
to keep everybody. There's a balance. You want to keep everybody happy, but also everyone has a personal responsibility to kind of own up to
Right.
what they're there to do.
You
And,
know, and the other thing too is that it's a business.
hmm
You know, and it's a business that can be dangerous, and you can lose your life doing it.
Absolutely.
So you need to kind of have those expectations to make sure that your people are squared away and
Right.
are not going to do anything that's going to, be detrimental.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. We talked about that last time too with Nick Hamill. You know, fire department is a business. No matter how you look at it. You know, I know some may argue that, but I mean, it is a service, but it's got to be run like a business.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obvious reasons. You know, I mean, you got employees, you got bosses, you got leaders. So tell us a little bit about Barnstead and the structure of it, the little town that you guys serve, and
So Barnstead is located kind of on the edge of the Lakes region and the Capillary region,
okay,
right on Route 28.
okay,
Kind of like We border Alton. We border Pittsfield, Gilmington, that area.
Who dispatches for you? Lakes Region?
Lakes Region Dispatch.
Okay.
And the town of Barnstead is 4,500 people, 4,593, I guess, the 2010 census was. And we cover about 44 square miles.
Gotcha.
A lot of lake and ponds.
Is it Winnipesaukee? Do you guys touch? No, you
we
don't.
don't touch Winnipesaukee. But we do about 700 calls for service a year. That's fire and EMS.
Gotcha. And you have your own ambulance?
We have our own ambulance.
Yep.
We run 2 paramedic level ambulances. We staff one. Our budget's about $940,000.
Wow.
Wow.
Which most include the full-time salaries. We have
Right.
6 full-time firefighters and
Yep.
officers.
Okay.
And we have about 22 people on the call roster.
Mm-hmm.
But out of those 22, probably 4 are either part-time or able to do firefighting,
Gotcha.
activities.
Okay. So you're a true combination department
We
then.
are.
Yeah.
We run 2 Class A engines,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a heavy rescue, a tower ladder. It's a 1978
I love that
Baker
thing.
aerial scope. That's probably the best truck of the fleet.
That is awesome.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, just you can't beat anything like that, really. The
They don't
old
make 'em
school,
like that
They
anymore.
don't.
They
at all.
don't. They don't. And running that truck is pretty neat. It can get into a lot of places that your typical towers can't because it doesn't have that beaver tail overhang that
Right.
a lot of trucks do.
Sure.
And yours is a single axle,
It's
right?
a single axle.
A single
It's
axle,
a
75
foot. Yeah.
Yeah, those are bulletproof.
And that Baker boom. I mean, the Baker company made cranes,
Yeah, that's
and that's pretty much what it is. It's a crane boom.
Sure.
It's a machine.
It's got a
yeah.
1,000 tip load in the bucket. You can. So
Where did
it's-
that come from?
So it came from Manchester, Connecticut.
Okay.
It was built for them. There's in the steering wheel. There's an emblem.
Yeah.
And we got that thing way before I was there.
I can
I don't
remember.
remember the exact date they got it, but they stripped it right down to the frame
Right.
and totally refurbed it themselves.
So I went to Jesus. It might have been when you and I went with Billy Farrell to the Manchester Fire Prevention Parade. Remember that when we went on his Maxim?
Oh my goodness, that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, and I think it was that time because they were in the parade lineup, and that truck was there, and there was a gentleman there, and I think he's since passed. I don't remember his name. So that's the manifold right there for the sound. I had to explain this to Paul one day. This whole setup.
There we
It's
go,
like
we're going.
it's like a pump panel, manifolds.
Yeah.
Water in, water out.
Water in, water
I
out.
get that.
So anyway, yeah. So this guy was telling me all about that truck, and I guess he had a huge part in it. And then I found out like a year later he had passed away, like had a heart attack or something. I can't remember the guy's name.
Was
though.
it Steve Jones?
Maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know. He had a big part in that
Yeah,
truck.
We've
and-
lost 2 people. We lost Steve, and then we lost Jake Weber
Okay.
as well. So, and then we have a tanker, an urban interface engine,
Okay.
which is CalSpec,
Mhm.
and that was the first one in New Hampshire that was ever built by HME.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Those
is-
are being used right now for sure.
Oh,
out there in
yeah.
California.
Wow,
Jesus.
that fire is just amazing to
It-
follow and to watch.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Even just the videos out there, the fire behavior is just
Right.
crazy.
It is. It's nuts.
You
And then
know?
the aftermath. Like I was
Yeah.
watching one of some poor lady driving with her husband back through Paradise, and like
It's not paradise.
it's not. There's nothing left.
Flattened that, burned that town to the
Nothing.
ground.
right.
I don't remember hearing about one that moved that quickly, but
Mm.
anyway, on back on topic.
And then yeah,
Sorry.
you,
Squirrel.
you can't keep you can't keep firemen on topic. So
No. No.
and you're right, Paul. Squirrel. Oh look, shiny
Squirrel.
things.
Right.
Train.
Shiny things. Car. And then we also have a UTV that we use for forestry. It's got tracks on it.
Okay.
It's got a slide in, slide out pump.
Awesome.
So that's pretty much our apparatus. Our personnel, again, we have 6 career personnel, 4 part-time per diem. So the full-time personnel work a 24-on, 48 schedule, and they have a Kelly day.
Mm-hmm.
So every 3 or so weeks, they have a 5-day break.
Gotcha.
So the part-time people kind of fill in for those Kelly days,
Mm-hmm.
try to keep the overtime down. And then the 22, call people, out of which probably 4 are just really active.
Gotcha.
So that's pretty much the town of Barnstead and the fire department,
Awesome.
run down.
So how's the culture there as far as like having a combination department and having a mix of call guys and paid guys? And is it a challenge?
It's
Yeah.
it's a huge challenge, and it's different because I came from a department that lives, eat, and breathes Brotherhood, and that culture is still there. It was there when I first started. It's all I knew when I moved on to becoming a career firefighter. And what I noticed when I got to the area, which was Hooksett, when I got to the area, a lot of that culture wasn't there. And I went, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
You
kind of
know,
a
I don't get why.
culture shock.
Yeah. And in Barnstead, there is a sense of brotherhood, but it's not tight. It's not like it is here in York. And I tend to try to, this is probably a fault of mine, but I tend to look at what you guys here in York are doing and the way the culture is here. And I look at what we have, and it's not anywhere near that. And my girlfriend, who's also a firefighter too, she says you can't compare everything that they do in York to what we do, or what you guys do in Barnstead. And she's right.
Yeah.
But I can take some of the stuff that you guys are doing up here that are working for you and try to apply it to Barnstead.
Over there, yeah.
And believe us, we're not perfect by any means.
Oh, no.
But I think we do have the benefit of all of us growing up in it. Our generation, Paul, we were growing up in it, and our generations and generations of members. You know what I'm saying? Like family members. I think that helps.
We watched Red's generation. The guys that are one generation removed from us. We watched you guys, how you guys did it, because we were coming in right underneath you guys.
Right. And you guys were saying on a earlier podcast that you have, pretty much almost 20 years on the job here. And
I'm at 19, yeah.
I remember you kids. I remember you guys. I mean, Paul, I remember you crawling around your kitchen floor with a soda bottle on your back. That was your air pack.
Yeah.
And Nick, I mean, I remember when you were a kid because I was on the department with your dad.
Yeah.
Who was just an awesome guy.
Thank you.
You know, and he taught me.
Yeah.
When I first came on, I learned from your dad and Paul's dad, and boy, there were so many.
But I think it's that creates that culture. It's the multi generations. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
And with you guys, it was the same way of life has been passed down for years.
Yeah.
It's never changed.
Right.
Yeah.
So to go outside of York and to go into a department that didn't have that was really hard for me to kind of
Yeah, I can imagine.
grasp onto, saying, wait a minute, what is this? So you kind of have to adapt. And Barnstead, there's a great group of guys there. Okay. And we have a chief that gets it.
That's good.
He's a great guy.
That's half the battle right
It
there.
is.
It
Yep, starts
is.
at the top.
If you can come to him and say, listen, chief, we need this, this, and this, and it's going to cost this and this and this, and he sees value in it, do it.
Yep.
That's excellent.
Ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our deputy is a good guy. He's a recently retired lieutenant from Hooksett. So,
How was his culture shock going from red fire trucks to green fire trucks?
I think he probably had to have counseling, but
Okay. All right.
But they have a Baker Tower ladder, so
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so
it does.
pretty good.
that
It does.
fixes everything.
It
That
really
makes up
does
for the-
fix it all.
But so the problem that we had was we've lost our direction. And this is my opinion, not necessarily those of the Barnstead Fire Department. But
Disclaimer.
disclaimer. Insert disclaimer here. But my opinion was we've lost our way. We've lost what's important.
Yep.
And it's more than just answering the call when the tone goes off and going out the door.
There's a lot more than that's a reactive fire department.
It is.
You want to be proactive.
It is.
So that's a huge part of it.
And we have a chief that wants to be proactive and wants things to be proactive. And the problem with that is, I think that we've lost that drive to want to change. And this is fire service wide. You just get stuck in that.
It takes
in
a,
that
it
rut.
takes a
And
generation to make huge organizational change.
mediocrity runs rampant. And when you say mediocrity too, it's not always a bad thing.
No, it's not. But you
Okay.
don't want to remain average and status quo either.
Exactly, and that's the thing is we're at this point we're average.
Right. Right. And if you're not
Okay.
improving every single day, you're actually going backwards.
Right. And I find myself caught up in that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I come in and I kind of you just get caught up in that mediocre, average day thing, and you just get caught up in it.
Right.
And
It's easy to do.
It is easy to do, and I always used to say to myself, "I'm never going to be that guy."
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
Right.
I think with some empowerment, I think that changes.
Yeah, because it gives ownership, and I strongly believe, and we do this in York, is we have a common vision for our future on our department and the direction that we want to go in. And we work hard as officers and leaders to stick with that vision and that direction, and everybody's on the same page. And if you can't be on the same page, it's not gonna work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of departments, they lose that vision of where they're going and what they want to do. And until when you do that, everybody is kind of on their own, doing
Right.
their own thing.
Right.
And you're losing that team atmosphere, I
Right.
think.
And that's kind of where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
We've kind of lost that team atmosphere.
That loving feeling.
Yeah. And the guys there are all great. I don't have any issues with anybody there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, so-and-so is working, so I'm not going to work that shift. Or
Sure.
I'm not going to go to that call because so-and-so is working. We all bring things to the plate.
Mm-hmm.
We all have things to offer. But I think that we kind of need a little bit of a change in direction.
Yeah. And I think that's going to take all you guys sitting down and discussing it and being honest about it. And it may get heated. It may not. You may hurt some feelings, but it's time. It's something that
And you're
needs to be
right.
done.
I think you just hit the nail on the head, Nick, is that it's time.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for us to bury the hatchet, whatever you want to call it, and move forward.
Yeah.
You know,
Have a workshop night, make it an unofficial one. Go out for drinks or something. I mean, there's different ways you could do that, but
right.
and it's good to include everybody too and make sure everybody's on the same page, because I know it can become very toxic if you have one or two people that have a totally different vision than the rest of the agency has, and you're creating that toxicity, and new people coming in are seeing that, and now you're splitting your department up even further.
Right. And there is a division between the career staff and the call staff.
Mm-hmm.
We have been kind of slacking on training.
The call staff have.
Well, everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
Even the career staff. There hasn't really been organized training for quite some time, and this is kind of leading up to in the position that I'm in now.
Mm-hmm.
Is you sit there and you say, I know we can do better. I know that we can be in a better place. And you just sit there, and it festers, and it festers, and it festers. And I happened to be working a shift one night that was on a night of an officers' meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there because I was working.
Sure.
And I sat down and I listened to the officers' meeting going on, and all of a sudden something inside of me just snapped.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to the chief, can I have permission to speak? He said, sure. And I said, we're broken and we need to make changes. And I think that where we can start is with training.
Yep.
And I offered my assistance. If there's anything that I can do to move things along or to help, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to do whatever.
Step up
and do whatever I need to do.
It takes that initiative. You took initiative that people probably haven't been taking in a
Right.
while.
So the next day, actually, this was on a Thursday night, so Saturday morning, I get a phone call from the deputy. Hey, are you available today? Can you swing by Station 1 and meet with the chief and I? And I went, oh, boy.
I should have kept my mouth.
I should have
shut.
kept my mouth shut.
Tea with the
And,
chief is never good.
You know,
See,
yeah.
you learn good things from York, but then you learn those things from York
Right.
too. You just can't quite keep your mouth shut.
And it was funny because
yeah.
that night, that Thursday or that Friday morning, I came home and I was talking to my girlfriend. I said, I think I may have stuck my foot in my mouth. She goes, what else is new?
We love you, Sarah.
Yeah, we do. But she's kind of like that voice inside me that I don't have.
Right.
That says, you shouldn't be doing this,
Yeah.
or you shouldn't say this.
She keeps you in check.
She's
Oh,
she's the filter that you don't have.
Exactly. So God bless her, and she needs to be sainted for that.
Yeah, sure.
But so Saturday morning, I go into the station. The chief and the deputy are there, and the chief has the deputy has his little pad, his little pad open. And we're like, oh boy.
Was there someone from Human Resources present?
No.
Too?
Well, so the first thing that came to mind was that Rescue Me episode where they're in the harassment the harassment training,
God.
But I'm kind of like the Tommy Gavin. But so I sat down with them and talked, and it was a great meeting. We were there for an hour and a half. And at the end of the meeting, the chief said, we want to promote you. And I went, huh? And he says, we want to promote you, and we want you to take over training.
Didn't see that coming.
Well, and you didn't even ask for it or
Not
demand
really-
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't demand it. Go figure. Right. I didn't demand that I want to be an officer to do this.
Right.
I said, I want to help you do this, whatever it takes. If the training guy that was doing it at the time needs help doing something, let me know, and I'll be more than happy
And
to.
see, that is proof right there. If you're a self-starter at something and you take the initiative, you're going to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's going to be noticed,
Right.
And,
And, I didn't do it to get promoted.
no, of course not. You
I
want
did it because
your
I wanted
department
to
to be
do
better.
the greater good.
Right. That's
Okay.
That's key. It's about the
and-
guys in the department,
right.
not about yourself.
So I took the promotion. And
Congratulations.
Thank you. And the chief basically said, whatever you need for resources, you got it. You tell me what you need, and I'll make it happen. Because his idea or his belief is that the same as kind of we're on the same vision, I guess. I kind of equate it to like the Field of Dreams, where they say you build it, they will come.
Yep.
If you offer the training and you do the training, eventually they will come. So if you can get one person to come to training and go, wow, man, that was friggin' awesome.
Yeah.
All right. And then the next person goes, I'm going to go down there and check that out. And then they experience it, goes, yeah, man, we haven't done that in ages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next group, the next person, and the next person, and the next person,
You're
You're building a snowball.
right.
yeah.
You're building a snowball. You're rolling a snowball down the hill.
Yeah.
You're picking up speed.
Right.
Little by little.
Yep.
You
Just
know?
what we did in York too, and we should probably get back into doing this, is when we wanted to come up with ideas for training to get more people involved, is we each month at the monthly meeting we would haul in a newer person, either a brand new person or someone that's been there for a year or two, and sit them down and say, hey, what do you want to do for training?
Yeah.
Give me one idea.
And you know what's funny? I did the exact same thing. I sent it on email.
Yep.
Let me know what you want to do for training. Anything you want to do, let me know. We'll make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So by doing that, you're allowing buy-in.
Mm-hmm.
That's
You know?
important.
It is important.
Right.
Instead of having something stuffed down your throat.
That never goes well in the fire service. Like
No.
jamming training down people's throats.
Or
That's
a
not
policy
good.
or a procedure
Yeah.
or something like that.
Always unpopular.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at now.
Did you get much of a response to your email?
No,
Interesting.
I didn't get
What
anything.
if
Actually,
what if you tried a one-on-one instead?
that's my next.
I would do that. Just take someone, and make it a good experience. Say, hey, what do you want to do? What would you like to see us do next for training?
Right.
And then on top of that, when you have a training schedule made up, invite people in your agency to actually do the training.
Right, and that was what was kind of told to me, advice that was given to me, and what I believed was taking the career staff that are on duty that night and say, I want you guys to run the training.
Yeah. Right. It shouldn't just be one person every
No.
week or
No.
every time
No,
you do
definitely
training.
not. Definitely
Because
not.
that just gets old and
It
people
burns
lose
people
their
out.
attention.
It
on
does, because you listen to the same person over and over and over again. So I think that's going to allow for some more buy-in and hopefully increase morale and get the call people to start coming out again, because the problem that we have now is our call department is basically non-existent.
That's not good.
Your career staff is handling 85 to 90% of your calls.
And they are.
That's a fact.
It is a fact. And the problem with that is if you have to work tomorrow and a medical aid comes in at 2 o'clock in the morning, for us, it takes 3 hours pretty much to do a medical call round trip.
Right.
Wow.
We've got a 35 to 30-minute transport to the hospital.
Oh, wow.
So if you got to work tomorrow at 7 a.m. and that call comes in at 2,
Yeah.
and the career staff is on,
Right.
then you're going to stay in bed and sleep.
The call, that's not unique to you guys. That's
Right.
fire service wide.
Sure.
We're seeing it as we examine our operation in York, and we're looking at other towns around us that have more than one person on the floor, which is everybody now. All the towns that have 2 or 3 career staff on, the call staff is they're at bare bones minimum
Right.
staffing because they're only needed 10 to 15% of the time. So
And nothing
that
against
doesn't keep their interest.
Another disclaimer, nothing against full-time staff. You know what I mean? Because that's not what this podcast is about.
Right.
No, we're not bashing. We're not trying to make a volunteer versus paid
Not at all.
argument.
Right.
I represent both sides of the table here.
Absolutely. But, and it's a good point. You see other agencies, and it's not always the fix to add more people to the floor full-time.
Right.
It's not a fix. I think it is a Band-Aid. I mean, you look at agencies around us that are all full-time now and they've gotten rid of their call to companies. They're now struggling to get staffing, right? I mean, you got departments that have 3 guys on an engine and the city will not hire any more.
Right.
That's it. So you're kind of getting yourself in a slump.
And then, who do you have coming in to back you up?
Right. Nobody, depending. I mean,
Or maybe a couple of guys
maybe
off
a couple
duty.
of guys off duty, but
know.
even people on full-time departments aren't coming in for callbacks. It's not. I've seen it all the time. I see it. But you compare that with a department that maybe have one person on the floor, or maybe a couple per diem guys on the floor, and then you build your volunteer corps or your call corps, and you're gonna have even more people than you're gonna get. I mean, we could fill an engine. Go to an example, mutual aid fire outside of our town. We can fill an engine with 6 people on it. You got a career truck coming with the 3 guys that are on duty.
Or two.
Or two.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, and it's not any. I don't think it's got anything to do with being career, and it's nothing against them. It's just the way that towns spend their money.
Right. So myself and the chief and the deputy sat down and said, well, how do we fix this? How do we get our call department back? There's really no easy fix for that.
It's going to take work.
It's going to take work.
And time. It's not like you're going to have 20 call members active, snap your fingers next week.
Right.
It's something that takes
So
a lot of time.
We're going to have to recruit.
Yep.
And retain once you
And
do
retain.
recruit.
So it is funny because people are always recruit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's your recruiting plan. What's your plan for retaining?
Right.
Oh, well.
It's
I
a
never-
two-part. It's a
I
two-part
never really-
equation.
I never really thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
We just figured they'd be coming to calls and they'd want to be here.
Right. Money isn't always going to solve that.
Right.
Getting paid isn't going to. It's got to be something more.
There needs more motivation than that. I mean, they need to feel like they're wanted, feel like they're needed. Nurture them along. The money's great, but that's only a Band-Aid fix as well.
But
It
you know
is.
what it takes to do that? It takes a good leader or multiple leaders that know how to do that.
A
that
leadership
understand,
team.
And a leadership team that understands how to make people happy and how to grow more leaders. Because that's a good thing. If you have someone coming in brand new, don't only teach them how to be a good firefighter, but teach them how to be a better leader than you are.
And that's one of the things that here in York, you guys absolutely get. It's all about training that future.
Succession planning.
Yeah. I experienced it when I was on here. And, and I look at, I look at you, Paul, probably one of the smartest guys I know. Seriously. The stuff that just oozes out of you is just amazing.
Yeah.
And that's not
He's right.
knowledge. Okay. Knowledge.
Okay.
I'm glad I clarified that, right? Knowledge.
Yeah, thank you.
We are too.
Yeah.
Nick, you're the same way. You're a squared away officer. I mean,
Thanks.
and you've got Pete and Eric Humphrey, and
Yeah,
you've
my
got
God.
Dave Butler.
Dave Butler.
Dave
I mean,
Butler.
the
He's a
guy's-
machine.
He is a machine.
Yeah.
But they're
He can
all,
be cranky sometimes, but he's a
Well,
machine.
I know, but
Especially at 3 a.m. on a propane leak at the grocery store.
yeah. But Dave, we love you, dude.
Yes. Oh, he won't listen to this. He has a flip phone still.
But that succession planning that you call, it was like that back in 1983. It was like that. It's like that now. I mean, I'm sure there's guys that you guys are grooming to be the future.
Yeah.
Mac Poulin is a
Exactly. Mac is-
brand new young lieutenant.
Mac's
He's
a
got
great.
5 years, 6 years in the department, and to me, that's
Yeah.
young to be a lieutenant in York Village.
It is,
You know?
but
But he's doing a really good job.
and he's open minded and he wants to learn.
Yeah, he is. He's a
You know.
blank canvas,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he's picking it up fast.
And he's getting it. He's getting
Yeah, no,
the,
he's doing
the,
good.
the direction and the vision.
Yeah.
He's starting to see that now, which I think is great.
Right. So that was a really good choice to get him in there as an officer.
Yeah.
Well, we saw that there was potential there, but he also, again, he earned the position because he went through our pretty rigorous officer selection process, and he rose to the top. So
Right. So the other thing that we're looking at too is going to the high schools.
Mm-hmm.
Career day.
We don't have the high school in Barnstead. They either go to Alton or Pittsfield, which are kind of equally distanced from Barnstead.
Mm-hmm.
But my thought was to go into the high schools and recruit from the high schools.
Yeah.
We do have an Explorer post.
that's a great start.
We have 2 probationary members right now that are on our department that came from the Explorer post. The Explorer post is the #1 Explorer post in the state 4 years running.
Wow,
Jeez, that's good.
So, and they are an awesome bunch of kids.
it sounds like a great bunch of young people.
They want to get involved.
That's a great place to start.
you
That's
know,
where we all started.
I
Most
mean,
of us.
yeah.
we were testing hose, and boom, they're up there repacking hose.
That's good. That's really good.
They
And
didn't complain about it. They
no,
didn't
that's-
cry about it. It was get it done.
That's good.
And it was kind of funny because one of the times that they were repacking hose, one of they have their own officers and everything. One of their officers looked at the hose bed and goes, "Yeah, no, pull it all off and put it back on again."
You put it on backwards.
But it looks sloppy.
Yeah.
So they said pull it off and pack it back on so it looks good.
It's a great time to instill pride in your work when they're
Yeah.
at that young age, because they'll never forget that. No matter what they go on to do in their life, they'll always remember that they got their
Right.
start at the Barnstead Fire Department, and that pride in your job, whether it's packing hose, sweeping the floor, or cleaning toilets. If you're going to do it, do a good job at it.
Right. And there's some administrative level stuff that needs to be done. The chief's talking about increasing the call pay.
That's a help.
And
Yeah.
the other thing he's talking about is, and this is a kind of a work in progress, I guess, is offering AFLAC
Oh,
yeah.
insurance.
Yeah, that's huge.
Wow.
And having the town pay for that.
That's great.
That's something that could be, used as an incentive too.
Certainly is.
I know we've been talking about adding things like parking passes and stuff here in town.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating when you want to take a kid to the beach and you got to pay the meter, or it's permit parking only. And it's like, wait a minute
You're
here.
a resident and
Yeah.
you give up teen
Right.
hours to the town for nothing.
For nothing. Yeah.
So
Actually, at a cost.
Yeah.
It's at a cost
Yeah.
to us. This is costing me money to do
costing
this.
your gas, you're
Yeah.
costing time away from your family.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. Got to go on that fire call because
Yeah.
So those are kind of some of the plans that we're looking at to try to improve things.
So I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I'll probably say it more too in other podcasts. Is take advantage of the millennials. Take advantage of them, because I'm hearing stories that they're going into these jobs right out of college, and they're expecting to immediately make a difference, and they're unsatisfied because they have to start from the bottom in these careers, and they're not making a difference right away. So they're leaving their jobs and they're going to find other things. So take advantage of that mindset that they have and say, hey, listen, if you want to make a difference, you can start a career here. This would be a stepping stone for a career. You can join the Barnstead Fire Department, and immediately they're going to be making a difference. Immediately.
That's a good point.
Think about that.
Yeah.
The second they walk through those doors, hand them a broom, hand them a garden hose, and start washing the truck. You're making a difference.
Yeah.
And it gives them that sense of ownership and that sense of, wow, I'm actually doing something. This is really cool. So I wish more people would look at that, and we need to start taking
Yeah,
advantage
you
of that.
don't, you don't think of stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know, so
it
that's
takes
a great.
and it takes a different mindset dealing with millennials. Millennial people complain about them. I'm probably one of the first generation millennials. I mean, I don't even know when that starts, but
It's in the 1980, 81 range.
yeah. So
you'd
you
be
and I
one
are
of the older.
right.
If in fact we are lumped in with them, we
Right.
would be in the older range of the
Right.
millennials.
But they want to know why. There's another important thing. So you can't just expect a millennial to come into your fire department and you start teaching them things and start having them go to calls and stuff without explaining why we're doing it this way. They want to know why. They want to have that feeling of ownership, and that's important, And I think that maybe we lost that. The older generations never had that. So you and I starting, we were doing things. Well, why don't we do it this way? Why do we do it this way? And how come this truck is a different shade of red than that truck?
The old school answer is the old school answer is, well, we've always done it that way,
Right.
and that's unacceptable to the
Yeah.
the younger people, But that's the answer you got in 1983 when you asked about how something was done at the York Fire Department, because that's how we've always done it.
We've always done it that way.
And they never really. Now we're questioning things, everything, and maybe that's not limited to millennials, because obviously you get it,
Yeah.
and you're not a millennial, so you understand that there has to be more to. Well, that's how we've always done it, so just do it and shut up, kid.
Right.
That's
That's the way it is here. If you don't like it, there's the door.
Yeah, there's more to it than that nowadays.
Aside from my duties with the Barnstead Fire Department, I'm also the EMS program coordinator at Lakes Region Community College,
Nice.
and I teach the EMT, the advanced EMT program.
Mm-hmm.
I fall under the fire technology program.
Okay.
I know about millennials and students and getting through to them, and
It's an art.
it is.
We can be very difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
There's no question.
I think that is a good thing for us to look at. Is they're not asking you why because they just want to be difficult.
Mm.
They want that buy-in.
Mm-hmm.
They want that. This is why we're doing. Oh, all right, that makes sense to me.
Right. Right.
They don't want to do something that doesn't make sense to them.
Right. We are very curious.
Yeah. So to sit there and say, like the old days, well, shut up, kid. That's just the way we did it. And if you don't like it, there's the door.
Mm.
Well, that person's going to leave the door and they're not going to come back.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
By taking that and just kind of explaining it a little bit better,
Mm-hmm.
I think does a lot.
You can-
That's in the category of nurturing your young people along rather than feeding them to the wolves. 'Cause
Right.
We have a tendency to eat our own young, and I think we as a fire service are getting better, and so nurturing your young is, getting them up to speed is going to pay dividends in the future.
And also, too, and it's an adjustment for me and probably for you as well, Paul, is like when the new people come in, instead of just not talking to them for a while until they prove their worth, you got to take the opposite direction and
Go right up to
Go
them. and
right
say,
up to
hey,
them.
welcome.
right.
Yeah.
I'm so and so, and this is so and so,
Yes.
and thank you for coming in and wanting to,
Yeah,
They need
our,
that.
Our thing, maybe it was not unique to us in York, as everybody got the silent treatment for a little bit until
Oh,
we
yeah.
saw him at a few calls, and then, all right, well, this kid's all right. Maybe he's worth getting to know. Maybe we should adjust our tactics accordingly, because the world is different. It
Yeah.
is a different place now. So
Right. I mean, when I first got on, even when you came through the door to volunteer, you had to get voted on.
Mm-hmm.
And they used a black ball system.
oh, you guys were using that when you got on, yeah.
Everybody had either a white or a black marble, and they would pass the box around, and you would drop the marble in whichever you wanted. The white meant yes, and the black meant no. And they would pass that box around, and then they would count all the marbles and say, here's all the whites, and here's one black. There was one person that always voted with the black one. Ollie Starkey. He always voted black.
God love him.
God love the guy.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah, it is awesome. So it's gone a long way from that to, now it's an application process, and you have to go through background checks, and you have to get fingerprinted and all that stuff. So it's more like an application interview process now than it used to be.
Yeah.
It used to be, oh, hey, come on,
Right.
And that takes time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that frustrates some of the younger people, especially people that really want to get on and are like,
Yeah.
I really want to get on. I want to do stuff. And
They want instant gratification.
Yeah, and a
they
month
want,
goes by, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, why haven't I heard back from anybody?
Right.
Or,
Yeah.
you know,
maybe I'm not good enough.
yeah, you know,
Yeah, I get
We're
it.
still voting here, but we're also doing an interview with the officers and the chiefs at the monthly meeting. So we're sitting down with people now, which is one of the things that we definitely need to improve on is we voted people in and done very little background work on people until
Boy, we've had some really sketchy people.
we
come
had
to
a
the
we had
door.
a person that was on the sex offender registry join the department for a short time, and that didn't go over real big
yeah.
because we didn't follow up very well, and
I think
so,
we figured that out at some random conversation at a lunch one day. And it was
Ooh,
he
yeah.
said some weird. I won't even say it. I'm not even going to go there. But
Right.
But
It
yeah,
was like, what did you just say?
yeah,
What?
the days of just voting people in are
over.
long over with.
Yeah. So one of our, I guess I'm going to get into some of our what I see as obstacles, and one of the obstacles is the older call people, the older call members. Back before the Barnstead Fire Department came about, there was 2 separate fire companies in town, private fire companies.
Sounds
Instead
kind
of
of
Barnstead
familiar.
Fire Department, the Barnstead Parade Fire Company. The town would contract to them for fire and EMS services.
Huh.
So eventually the town decided we're going to disband the private fire companies and we're going to merge them into a municipal service.
Sure.
And this is kind of a little background as to why our trucks are emerald green metallic. So the Barnstead Parade Fire Company had yellow trucks. The Senate Barnstead trucks were red and white. And when they started to merge the departments, each department said, there's no way in hell our trucks are going to be yellow. No way in hell our trucks are going to be red.
Wow.
So the town said, okay, come up with some color schemes. And then this egg was hatched, and the fire truck came out with white roof and emerald green metallic body.
Wow.
Yellow and red. Red and yellow make green, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Perfect.
perfect. And it hasn't been an easy transition.
No.
That's
I
why
can't
all of our
imagine it would
trucks
be.
say it's not easy being green on them. So there's still members in the department that were either Senate Barnstead guys or Barnstead Parade guys, and they still kind of headbutt. And
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
So
I can imagine though. It's the older generation.
It takes a generation to change a culture. It's not something that would
and
happen
the thing
overnight.
is, the members of those private fire companies didn't want the merger.
Yeah.
So it's kind of forced upon them.
Right, and you can't do that. That's I think
You know.
that happened with us. I mean, that would create some tension as
It
well.
would create a lot of
You
tension.
you gotta do it voluntarily. You gotta let them do it
Right.
themselves and figure it out
The
themselves.
problem with that is if it was ever left to do it voluntarily, they would never
No.
have done it.
Yeah.
Right, of course.
So there's some members there that, are obstacles.
Yeah.
Now, some people would take that as being, well, through an obstacle, boom, they're out of here.
Yeah.
That's not really.
But how do you take
that's-
somebody that's been on the fire department for 25 years to that town and just boot them?
You can't.
That's not
No.
not an option.
So I think the way to fix that obstacle is to take that person, sit them down, and say, how do you look at yourself as being a member of this department? You bring values here because you've been on here for 25 years.
Yeah.
You have value, and we understand family life and business and all that stuff. But we want to kind of inject some life and kind of rejuvenate you and
It's
Get you to show
amazing
up.
how fast somebody's mood or feelings would change when you throw the ball back at them and
Yeah.
say, what do you want to do?
right,
We expect this from you.
right.
Yeah.
Can you work with it?
And these people that stand up on their soapbox and they're all negativity, and then you look at them and go like, all right, how would you fix it?
Right. Come with a solution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the rubber really meets the road. Is a lot of people, we in the fire service bitch about this, that, or the other. But you really need to come to the table with solutions, not more problems.
Right.
We know where we fall short most of the time.
right.
But can you do something to fix that?
Right. And then there's resistance from the career staff. And we talked about that. I think a way to get rid of that resistance is to empower them and say, hey, listen, you working Monday night? We have a training night that night.
Mm-hmm.
I want you guys to run the training.
Absolutely. Give them a project too. I mean, not to get back to York, I hate I don't want to leave Barnstead out, but like look at our newest career guy. He just put on this turkey drive, first one we've ever done. And he brought the ladder truck down to Hannaford yesterday, and they set the stick up. And I checked in at around, I want to say it was like around noon. And I said, "How you guys doing?" He goes, "Yeah, we've already had 104 turkeys donated."
They ended up with 180 turkeys for needy families.
Yeah.
You know, so something like that. Give them, come up with something.
Right.
You know, what are you good at outside of the fire service that you can provide here to, one, you know, keep you busy, and two, make the department look good, you know, with some PR. You know, it's not just training. That's a great thing, but there's a lot of other things out there that, you know, to help build the department. And then you can help with recruiting, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
By saying, like, with the turkey thing. You know, 180 turkeys? I bet someone who donated a turkey in that group would probably be interested
Hey, I
in
want to be a
joining.
part of that. Or, you know, and even if it's just somebody that's organizing fundraisers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Most of the rank and file firefighters have zero interest in doing that.
Right.
I know I don't have any interest in organizing fundraisers. It's not
Right.
That's not in my wheelhouse.
Right. Just getting back to, like, everybody has value
Yeah.
and everybody has things to offer.
Right.
And
Absolutely, they do.
it's not always running into burning buildings and diving
No,
through windows.
it's certainly not.
And
Well,
you
if
know,
we can agree on the fact that the fire department as an organization is a business like any other, I mean, not everybody is going to be the CEO. Not everybody is going to be your lead salesman. Not everybody's going to be, you know, everything. But we, as you know, we have marketing folks, and we have financial folks, and we have a CEO, and we have, you know, people to do the sales work, and we need people to do all different things.
Right.
It's not just kicking doors in and taking a line in and putting fire out. There's so much more to running our business,
right.
you know,
Right.
than
And
just being firefighters.
I think that's a good way to kind of segue into maybe the ending, because I'm running out of time, because I do have to work my 7th day out of 11 days straight this afternoon. Shoot me.
I just came off a 24-hour shift. So,
Ugh, yeah.
Yeah.
Paul, you're working nonstop.
Yeah, my 224s this week, but I should be able to get through those.
That's good. That's good. Slowing down a little bit then.
Yeah, it is slowing down a little for me.
So I had a question come in through the Instagram from an 18-year-old kid. He's from Watertown, Wisconsin. I'm not
Really?
sure if that's anywhere near Appleton,
Huh.
but I
Well,
love that town.
Wisconsin's a beautiful place.
It is a very beautiful place. They have a lot of cheese, too. A lot of cheese.
Yeah, I don't like cheese.
I know.
But I like Wisconsin.
We went to the cheese store in Wisconsin when we went out for the pre-build trip for our truck,
Yeah.
and we all threatened to make Paul stay in
the truck or the engine?
The engine.
Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, and we threatened to make Paul stay in the car.
I actually say that to Sarah all the time.
Do you?
So,
Yeah. It's a truck. It's a truck company, whatever. The super pumper tanker.
Right.
So anyway, so this kid, he's 18 years old. He was an explorer, and he's looking to actually join the department as a full-fledged member. And his message to me was, I applied but got denied because of a disability. He has optic nerve atrophy, which is a degenerative nerve disease that attacks the optic nerve. Wisconsin, they're required to have a driver's license to be a firefighter. He can't get it. He's not qualified.
Okay.
So he was looking for advice on what he could do to present to the department again in an application or something. You know, how do I get on? Like, the kid wants to do it. He wants to work. I guess NFPA 1582 says that he's not qualified because of his disability as well.
Yeah.
So my immediate thought was, well, what kind of value can you provide? We
Yep.
talked about this already today.
Right.
You know, write down, do some self-reflecting, take a day or two, and seriously think about who you are and what you can provide. Because a lot of departments aren't looking at that and understanding that someone can come in, and we've done it. The non-firefighter people can come into the organization and they can provide some sort of value.
Well, I think let's back up for a second and just get it out there and say that firefighting and driver-operator are probably off the table for this young
Right.
man, because he has a medical condition that's going to prohibit him from doing either one of these two things.
Right.
But that doesn't preclude him from being a member of the department and helping in other capacities. And then these are areas that he will need to explore within himself. What are some strengths that he can bring to the table?
And he's young.
Exactly.
You know, at 18 years old, I mean, Jesus, I didn't know what I could do or what I wanted to do. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, that's the challenge that he's got, is being so young.
But he's got the heart, and that's
And that's half the battle.
that is half the battle,
Right.
is the heart and the desire to serve is there, and I think this kid deserves a chance.
Right.
You know, within what he can do safely.
Right.
Right.
You know,
Another
within
thing
his
that kind of came to
limitations.
mind too, I was thinking about yesterday was, some sort of rehab operation. You know what I mean? It does require going to the scene, so I don't know where the laws and the NFPA kind of kick into that. But I mean, think about the rehab program that we have in York. It's been going on for 40 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you can take your energy and figure out. I mean, geez, it started in what year did that start, Red? Do you remember?
It was very early 80s.
And it started with a trailer, a
The
weenie
tow
wagon.
behind
The weenie wagon.
The weenie wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tow behind trailer
And you
that served
serve hot
food
dogs.
out of the back of it.
Yep.
And it's evolved into now we have the smart truck, the Southern Maine Advanced Rehabilitation Rehab Truck or whatever, the smart truck.
Yep.
And it's a big box truck with a full kitchen and a command center and a light tower and a cascade system, and that thing is vital. I mean, and that thing is called everywhere.
I know.
Everywhere. It went down to Lawrence, Mass with all the gas
Yeah.
main.
And back when
issues.
I was the chief in Southampton, New Hampshire, I actually called it down to a fire that we had there.
Right. Right.
I was there.
So
Big fire.
Yeah,
It was a big fire.
Yeah.
Big fire.
So it's a-
which came in as a fire alarm activation. So for
That's-
those of you that think that fire alarm activations are nothing,
yeah.
On occasion, they turn out to
Yeah.
be the
2
real
days
deal.
later and
Yeah.
5 buildings lost.
Oh, my
yeah.
goodness.
So
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's a good opportunity to look into too, to experiment with. Is,
Yeah.
does your agency have a rehab program? And that's a great place for people that are non-firefighters to step up and to be able to
and
serve.
if it doesn't have one, start one.
Yeah.
What about
Be the driving force.
What
Yeah.
about Department of Labor compliance? That's an area we struggle with here in York.
Yeah.
Is somebody to run the compliance for the Department of Labor, OSHA. If your state is an OSHA
Yeah,
state,
see, we're not an OSHA state.
and New Hampshire
so-
is not, and that makes it easy for you guys. But the requirements to comply with the Department of Labor in Maine are ridiculous for
Right.
volunteer departments, and they could probably use somebody to help with that. Web design.
Yeah,
that's an
social
area
media.
that social media
Yeah,
coordinator or
huge.
web
And
and
design.
being 18 years old, I bet the kid can probably figure out how to be a good
Probably
social
gifted
media
there.
coordinator.
Our social media team needs help in York. So
Yeah.
our,
there's a
our-
lot to
Our
do.
web design team needs
Yeah.
more help than the social
There's a
media.
lot
group.
of
So,
a lot of work that goes into that, and you and I took that by the horns years ago, and it's now turned into being we don't have the time, and to recruit people to do that is tough because everyone wants to just fight the fires. But if you can provide that kind of a service, and I think too is more and more people, civilians are looking on Facebook to see what's going on in their community. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny to bring this up because last night, Rochester, New Hampshire had that the guy in the woods with the firearm.
yeah.
I happen to be at work, and I happen to know the backstory and why they're looking for this guy. But you go to all
He
these
came
social-
in as an active. It was on
an
social
active
media
shooter.
as an active shooter
Yeah.
at the Rochester Walmart.
in which it was not.
Right. I
And then-
found out
and then it
after
was
digging into it a little.
And then it was reported that it was a hunter that the police were after. So then everyone's like, why are the cops going after a hunter? He's just in the woods hunting. Well, you get all these amateur notification, pages out there. So now I think people are going to be going more to their local, emergency service
Official sources.
official
information.
sources. So
Official sources.
Sure.
Yep.
that's another thing that you could look into as a young guy who can't do the firefighting part of it is to kind of get into that. So provide value, think of what you're good at
Right.
and what you have to offer.
And filling a gap in what the organization,
And-
Right.
that organization may have gaps in it that you may be able to fill.
Right. And, you hit the nail right in the head, Nick, is sit down and do some self-reflection
Yeah.
and make a list.
Yep.
And bring that list with you.
Right.
Sit down with the chief and, and say, listen, chief, I know I can't be a line firefighter, but this is what I can bring to the table.
Right. Yeah. And understand also being 18 that you're going to be looked at as a kid, unfortunately.
Right.
But it's all about how you present yourself and what you think you can really accomplish.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything else you want to add, Red? Because
No, I
we're
think,
running out of time.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Awesome. We
I
appreciate
really,
you.
I appreciate being asked. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a huge honor.
Yeah. It's fun.
And it's great to be able to talk about stuff that maybe other people might be going through
Yep.
or kind of afraid to ask.
Yep.
And they're sitting there going like, holy crap, this is our department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Here are some ideas,
Right.
Make
it relatable.
Yeah.
We are professional problem solvers in our organization, but sometimes
Sometimes-
we can't even figure out our own issues. That's like you can't see the forest through the trees. But
Yep.
you know, as a group, we have the answers. We need to work together on trying to find the solutions to
Absolutely.
common problems.
Yep.
So, for you listeners, all this stuff is free. This is all free content. We're not asking for any payment or any money from any of you to get any of this info. So, the only thing that I do ask, and I think the rest of us, Paul and Red and whoever else is on the show would agree, is the only payment we want is for you to share this, share the podcast, share the social
Get the
media,
word out.
get the word out, and let's make this a big movement that everybody can be a part of. So, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Red, for coming, and
No,
thank you,
for
Paul.
having me. And for everybody out there that's listening in the fire service, please stay safe and make it safe.
Right,
So-
and keep your fire trucks red.
And we're green metallic.